Itchy? Squirmy? Scratchy? Family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong.
Go get 'em!
It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm.
Hello, cream bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon, so now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat. Ooh, yeah, that's nice.
Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
Pick something we all like. Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you.
all of you.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never, ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Thank you.
Here, I will be joined a little bit later by my co-host, AD Drew, as Drew is traveling back from Tuskegee, Alabama, where it was homecoming for the Golden Tigers. A not so happy homecoming from the reports I get, but we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. Want to remind you, if you're watching or you have tuned in to the show, especially those are good friends on Facebook and YouTube, make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page and our Facebook page. Make sure you hit that like button. Also helps the algorithm and things of that nature. So we definitely appreciate you hitting the subscribe and like feature. Want to remind you to make sure you're following us on social media in all of our locations at MyBCSN1. That's the number 1. And go download that Jericho Broadcast Networks app. Just go to your Google and Apple Play Store. MyBCSN, MyJBN is the location and where you can find us. And just in case you want to happen to hit me up, you can find me at DRB365. So, week number 8, and I'll tell you what, I mean, I can't put my mind around the fact that we are coming up on the final quarter of the Black college football season. I mean, we were starved for football last fall. You know, we got an appetizer in the spring. It was what it was. It was good. But the fall is what it's all about. The homecomings, the month of October, the pageantry and the bands and getting back on campuses and all that good stuff. And I tell you what, folks, it's almost over. I mean, we're coming up on the final quarter. No champions have been decided, although this weekend was a big separation weekend. Some notices were served out by some of our top teams. Some homecoming tragedies happened this weekend, and I'm talking on the football field. I'm football field tragedies homecoming, as there were 10 homecoming games this past Saturday or yesterday. 5 winners, 5 losers. That ties the most homecoming losses so far this season, along with October 9th, the 2 weekends ago. There were also 5 losers that weekend of the 12 games. This week, unfortunately, losses were taken by Tuskegee, Howard, Benedict, Delaware State, and Southern, all losers at homecoming. So not only are those fan bases a little bit grumpy and irritable, but the fact that they lost at homecoming. Hopefully you all did. And as you can see there were definitely some eviction notices put out by Prairie View A&M, who, by the way, as funny as the Prairie View eviction notices are, the savage tweets of the Saturday might just happen to go to Miles College. And whoever's running the Twitter feed for Miles College, you, sir or ma'am, you deserve a raise, because you are really dishing it out. That's all I can say. And if you don't believe me, go check the tweets and replies for Miles College over the weekend. Homecoming winners included Shaw University, Winston-Salem State, Edward Waters, Fort Valley State, and Virginia State as well. All homecoming winners. We'll get into a lot of those games. Coming up a little bit later in this show, matter of fact, we're going to start it off real big in the second block with the head coach of the Albany State Golden Rams. Let me get that right. The Golden Rams, one of the top teams in Division II, they just opened up a can at home against Savannah State. Not shocking that they won, but shocking at the score, 30-0. The 4th shutout of the year by the Golden Rams defense. And we're going to talk to head coach Gabe Giardina. This might be this is, at least statistically, his best defense since he's been there. And it's actually probably statistically one of his best offenses. So I'm looking forward to talking with him coming up in the 6:15 block. Then a little bit later at the bottom of the hour, I hope my co-host Drew will be back in his home studio at that point in time. And we're going to talk with Kris Ferguson, D2Football.com. Kris covers the CIAA. And we're going to talk about the Bowie State Dominants, who, once again, might have just sealed up the North with a win this past weekend. And we're going to talk maybe a little bit about, 2 teams that statistically within the NCAA are really having a great year, but are we talking about them? We're not really talking about them. So we'll talk a little bit about the CIAA with Kris. Then in the second hour, we'll get a chance to talk with Joe Clay of the 1876 Sports and Culture podcast that covers all things related to Prairie View A&M, as Prairie View A&M, our number 1 team on the BCSN. And I'm going to start there. So Joe's going to be coming up at about 7:25-ish. So we'll get a chance to talk with him about what's going on at Prairie View. But we're going to start quickly with a few stories, just kind of recapping our top 5 teams, the BCSN top 5. A little bit later, at the end of the second hour, we reveal the new rankings. There's a lot of people, especially those people in Jackson, Mississippi, a little bit upset or bewildered, trying to figure out, how is Jackson State not number 1 in your poll? Well, I mean, again, it's not a poll. It's a rankings. It's all based on numbers and data. There's no group of voters. There's enough polls out there. Myself, Drew, we're voters of the HBCU Pro Sports Media poll. You've got the Box to Row poll that's out there, coaches and media. The BCSP, Black College Sports Page. There are lots of polls that have Jackson State 1. But I think our rankings, we are one of the 2, I think Drew told me, that have Prairie View listed as number 1. And statistically, they're slightly ahead of Jackson State. And Prairie View, this past weekend, went over to Southern, ruined their homecoming with a 48-21 victory. A lot was made of Southern's rushing attack coming into this ball game after, especially Kobe Dillon, who rushed for like 264. So you knew Prairie View's defense was going to serve some notice, and they did. They held Dillon to 56 net yards. They held Southern to 130 yards on 41 attempts. You do that. You do the math on that. Southern, 130 yards on 41 attempts. Prairie View said, look, we're going to come out and run. If you were listening to the Carlos Brown show on Saturday, that was one of the things Carlos talked about. Both teams were going to try to run, and the winner was going to be the team that rushed the best. Prairie View ran the ball better than Southern. Prairie View, 37 attempts, 224 net yards. At one point, Prairie View had 27 unanswered points in the second half, 504 total yards to 250 for Southern. So that feel-good moment that Southern had against UAPB is gone. And Prairie View A&M serving notice as the number one team. Our number two team, Jackson State, found themselves in a hole to start that contest against Bethune-Cookman. As I try to clear out a little frog in my throat, Jackson State was down 9-0 at one point. Second quarter, managed to go 42-3. From that point forward, Coach Sanders, Coach Prime was not in the building, but his sons did an ample job of filling in. Shador had 5 passes, 4 touchdown passes, 1 rushing. Shiloh even had an interception, nearly returned that for a touchdown. But it should be noted the Bethune defense had 7 sacks in that contest, 13 tackles for loss. Ladies and gentlemen, Bethune may be winless, but they are not down and out. Bethune is a scrappy bunch. They will find look, I'm hoping that Bethune gets a win before November 20th. And if you know what November 20th is, I'm just hoping they get a win before that. 26,428 were in attendance. Not quite the 53,000 that Coach Prime wanted to see. It'd be interesting to see if that is made an issue. Lots of talk over the weekend about attendance numbers. But 26,000 is still the best showing of any HBCU this weekend. I don't know. Maybe I don't have the numbers from Southern just yet. But I think 26,428 is still the best of the weekend. Very quickly, our number 3 team, Alcorn State, with a 44-27 win over Texas Southern. Number 4, FAMU, had to escape Itabena with their life with a 31-28 victory. We'll get into talking a little bit about that. And then Norfolk State went up to Howard and ruined their homecoming with a 45-31 smashing of the Bison. In the under D1 level, a great game on Saturday night if you had a chance to catch it, or if you were just stat watching. Langston, our number 1 team in the under D1 category, 18th ranked nationally in NAIA, going up against the number 9 ranked Ottawa of Arizona. Langston, 44-41. We'll talk a little bit about the 634 yards of offense that Langston put up. We're going to talk about the Albany State win a little bit shortly in the next break with Coach Giardina. Bowie State, of course, our number 3 team with a 27-7 win over Union. And number 5, Fayetteville State with a 40-12 win over St. Aug. Fayetteville trailed at one point in time 12-10 in the second quarter to St. Aug. That's right. They trailed 12-10 in the second quarter before Fayetteville put down a 10-play, 98-yard drive, took the lead, and just rolled from there. So we'll talk a little bit about that with Kris Ferguson coming up. But let's step away because coming up in the next break, we're going to talk to the head ball coach at Albany State and get a feel for how dominating a team this is. And the season's not over. This is a great start for Albany State, but we're going to find out what coach's thoughts are and how far this team can go. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap. We'll be back right after these words.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
I'm returning to Clinton Parish, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Parish, we take the pain out of being hurt.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong.
Go get 'em.
It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm.
Hello, cream bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com. Welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. I'm Brian Fulford, and coming up a little bit later, it will be my co-host, A.D. Drew, who is on his way back from Tuskegee homecoming. We're expecting Coach Gabe Giardina to be joining us a little bit later. We had hoped for this segment, but, hey, look, Coach is busy. This might be his one day to actually be away from football, so even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, if we get Coach, it'll be great. If not, we definitely understand, and so we'll adjust our schedule accordingly, especially if he happens to contact us back later. But let's start with our under D1 games of note. Again, we're just kind of recapping some of the games from the top 5, and so for those of you who did not get a chance to watch or see Langston and their win over Ottawa, Arizona, it was a 44-41 victory for Langston, who now improves to 7-0, 6-0 in the conference. I mean, pretty much the next two teams, the closest opponents, who they had to basically worry about was I believe it was Arizona Wesleyan last week, and then it was this Ottawa team this week. I mean, Ottawa was ranked 9th in the nation in NAIA. Langston ranked 18th. So it'll be interesting to see how far does Langston move up in the rankings. I like to go to my good friends over at computerratings.com. They are the creators of the Versus Sports Simulator. They do rankings, and I'm looking at their latest rankings for NAIA, and they have Langston moving all the way up to number 8, the 8th ranked team, up 16 spots, up 8 spots from where they were previously. And Ottawa, of course, dropped 7 spots after losing. So Langston, of course, of the Sooner Athletic Conference, with a chance to win another title. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Langston won the title in 2018. 2019 may have finished tied, but lost out on a tiebreaker, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, the spring 2021, which was part of the 2021 season, they really didn't necessarily play a full season. That season was done sort of set rankings for this fall, and so that's why Langston kind of started where they did in the rankings. I mean, a lot of people did not know what this team had. I mean, we had a conversation with Langston's coach about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he was telling us that this actually we were making a big deal about Raquan Washington, who had 8 touchdowns, 4 passing, 4 rushing, and then he dropped the bomb on us. I mean, obviously we were out of the loop a little bit, that really his starting quarterback Larry Harrington was hurt. And then all Larry Harrington has he's come back and just, played at the level or higher than what Washington did. So, I mean, Langston's sitting there with 2 great quarterbacks, 2 very good quarterbacks right now. Harrington, I think, threw 5 touchdown passes last week. He throws 4 this week. But you got to give some credit to Jacari Washington. Make sure I get his name right here. Jacari Jackson, who had 238 net yards, I believe, on 34 attempts, 2 touchdowns. Again, Langston rushed for 335 yards in the contest, 631 total yards. After trailing 10-0, Jackson had a 40-yard touchdown run in the second quarter, and Langston proceeded to outscore Ottawa 28-10 in the second quarter, and pretty much traded scores from there on out, but they always held that lead and never really relinquished it. And so credit to Langston and of course to Coach Quentin Morgan for what he's building in, and that team will be in another position as they were, I believe, in 2018 when they get a chance to possibly host an NAIA playoff game. I mean, they have a couple of games left on their schedule, and so we'll get a chance to talk a little bit more about that. But it looks like we have joining us right now. We have Coach Gabe Giardina. Coach, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. You know, I haven't had a chance to talk to you since 2019, the media day that was at the College Football Hall of Fame. So, you know, it's a pleasure to kind of get back and see everything that this team is doing this year. Congratulations on the win last night against Savannah State. Apparently, I understand it was senior night as well, or senior game as well.
Yeah.
Let's start there. Talk a little bit about those seniors and the impact that they have made in your program, especially in dealing with the pandemic year.
Yeah, I everybody that talks to me about our seniors, I just tell them that the pandemic was harder on them than really our freshmen and our young players, just because our freshmen didn't know any better, and our seniors, especially the guys that have been playing a lot, they really had something that they had been depending on kind of ripped away from them, and so it was tough. We had to do a lot of talks and a lot of heart to hearts just about the future and kind of what direction their life was going in and what was important to them. And those guys have responded just with a vengeance, and they just see every game as a blessing right now. And they're not just happy to be there. They want to take advantage of the opportunity, and that's what we really challenged our team with last week, was just, hey, answer the call, and those guys really did in a big way, and they did a great job. Senior day can always be really emotional. And I just asked them, I said, look, don't get emotional before the game. I said, you can get emotional afterward. But they did a great job of managing their emotions with their parents and everybody before the game. And they really went out and played well from the opening kickoff.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine all the emotions of just that moment. And then here it is, you're taking on Savannah State, a team that really, for if people don't know, it's the only team in the regular season that your program has lost to over the last few years. So I don't know if there was a little payback that for those seniors that they wanted to kind of, that's for us media folks to talk about. But game last night, that game was just exactly. That game was a dominating performance. It's the fourth shutout this year. So I guess my first question goes to, is this the best defensive unit? Now the season's not over, but I mean, so far, is this the best defensive team that you've had since you've been at Albany State?
Yeah, I mean, I think no doubt it's the best overall unit. I don't think we, are a team full of stars or anything like that. I think we just play really, really hard together. We played way more than 11. We played probably about 18 guys on defense and got a couple of different packages and really try to mix and vary it up. And those guys, we played the whole game without our starting Mike linebacker, Antonio Leroy, who we lost against Benedict for the season. And so, it was, there's I guess a little bit of maybe a mental void out there, but physically, the guys that played for us, Renze Okwu and Malik Barnes kind of stepped in there and they played hard and physical, but it was really all 11 guys showing up at the ball every time. It's a special group on defense, that's for sure.
Do they take, is there a level of pride that's starting to set in amongst this group in terms of giving up points? Because it feels that way.
Well, it's funny. They don't really talk about it, and I don't really bring it up, to them. But they know it's been a long time since they've given up a touchdown, and they would actually even correct you. They was, when Benedict, we gave up 7 points to them, but it was a pick six. So in our defense's mind, they've had 5 shutouts.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
they were quick. They were quick to point that out to me in the locker room after the game. I keep telling, I'm soliciting all donut shops in Albany. Every time they throw up a zero on that side of the ball, we feed them donuts on Monday. And so I'm Krispy Kreme, Dunkin' Donuts, the old, mom and pop shop around the corner here. I'm like, hey, can we get a donation here? Because I'm going broke on these donuts over here. But they really do. They take a lot of pride in just playing hard. We want to do 2 things every single week, and that's play with physical brutality and relentless effort. We just keep telling them, as long as you keep doing that, guys, good things are going to happen to you.
On the offensive side of the ball, this offense that is averaging about almost 28 points a game, and it's the rushing. The rushing the rushing attack has gotten a lot of attention of late. But as I was watching the game, your quarterback Danu, he was making some great plays. Talk a little bit about the offensive side of the ball, and what are you most proud of as you watch what they are doing every week?
Well, I think we just keep continuing to get better. And Deontay has done a great job. He does just such a great job of keeping us out of negative plays, checking protections or going from pass to run. If we've got some kind of RPO or we're outnumbered, hey, let's just hand it off and let's, try to make 4 or 5 yards and then let's go make the next play. And then he's just gotten better and better every single week at throwing balls into tighter and tighter windows. And, we converted on a couple third downs that led to big plays right after those conversions that they kind of get lost in the shuffle. It's 3rd and 8. We throw a little screen and he's going to throw the ball through a little small window between a guard and tackle, underneath. And, man, he does it. And all of a sudden, it's a first down. The next play, we score a 60-yard touchdown on a little, vertical seam switch route. And the same thing kind of happened in the first half. We're driving the ball down and it's 3rd and 11 or something like that. And he throws a dig over the middle, to a tight end. I mean, it literally is inches away from 2 different hands on the defense. And then the next play we go score, so Deontay has really matured, from a leadership standpoint. The guys really believe him. And, the biggest reason he's the quarterback is because he won the locker room, and the guys believe in him, and that guy just never gets phased. I mean, we've chewed his tail 100 times about this, that, or the other, because we know he's competitive, and he's just like, yes, sir. I mean, he is the calm within the middle of the storm, and it just gives every player around him a lot of confidence.
Now, and he's just a freshman, or is he almost like a redshirt freshman? Is he a true freshman?
Yeah, he's a redshirt sophomore. I mean, so he's been here for 3 years.
Okay.
I mean, he came here. Yeah, I mean, golly, if I could get some weight on him, I'd really be something. You know what I'm saying? He probably came here at 150 pounds. Now he's about 180. But the guy's 6'2", and he still looks like he could, take up residence at Golden Corral and just eat, because he's a skinny guy. But he's got a really live arm, and the guy just loves football. I mean, that's he eats it, he breathes it, he drinks it. It's great when the strength coach is coming to you and saying, "Hey, look, he ain't the strongest guy, Gabe, but that guy works his tail off. He's here every day. He's here every day in the summer. He wants to be great. And that's when the best players on your team are your best people. I think that's when you get a chance to be really good."
Yeah, definitely. AD Drew joining us right now. Drew, you got a question for Coach?
Good evening, Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fine, and please don't make me running extra for after practice because I was late getting on today.
But no, we'll both be running. I was late too. Okay.
There you go. And I've caught most of the interview while I was getting myself prepared for this, but the SIAC East, you guys have, for lack of a better words, you control your own destiny. I
Right.
was on earlier today with Coach Damon Wilson up at Bowie State, who's also in a similar position, essentially locking up the CIAA if they take care of business. So I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked him this morning. I need you to talk to the pollsters, to the voters, to all the people who will be doing the playoffs, Coach.
Man.
I want you to sell your program to them, tell them A, why you should be in, which we all think you're going to be in, but B, why you think you deserve a home game on top of it, Coach.
Well, first of all, I think we got a defense that's given up less than 6 points a game. I mean, we're just been really lights out on that side of the ball. In the kicking game, I don't know if anybody's down more punts inside the 20 than we have. And then we just got a lot of weapons on offense that is just, we're finally starting to kind of feel like turn the corner on offense and kind of peak at the right time. Started off slow and really kind of led by our defense there for a while, but I think really we're coming around offensively. And then if you look who we lost to, and we lost to Valdosta State, they're the number 3 team in the country. We lost 21-3. The last touchdown of the game was a garbage touchdown late in the game where we gave one up. We should have had a chance to be leading at halftime and just couldn't punch it in. And oh, by the way, there was a 2.5-hour lightning delay before the game, and we started the game almost at 9:45 in Valdosta, Georgia. So, I think, from a strength of schedule standpoint and things like that, the East has really been a tough test for us. I mean, I really think that, obviously Savannah is good. I think Benedict is really good. And I think we got 2 tough tests left here with Morehouse and doggone Fort Valley has got a good team as well. So, I think, it is time, for us to, in both leagues, us and Bowie or whoever gets in, in our conferences, it needs to have a home game and has earned it, and it's on the field.
I'm gonna throw one other thing you need to sell them with. You had the 21 points that you gave up against Valdosta has been their lowest output of the season.
Exactly,
so you
right.
can add that one in. Also, their next lowest output has been 41 against Mississippi College, team who you also beat.
Yes, sir. And we really didn't play. I mean, we turned it over 4 times that night. Our defense really could have pointed a lot of fingers and we put them in some bad situations and they bowed up every single time.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, let me get you out of here with this. As these final games come up, what's the message to your team? What's the message to the fan base? I mean, you're rolling in the right direction, but as you just said, you don't want to look ahead. Morehouse, many people thought Morehouse was dead. Now they've won 3 in a row. Fort Valley is nothing to sleep on. Let your fan base and let us know what the message is over these last 2 weeks of the regular season.
Well, I think the big thing is just, hey, we got to keep controlling what we can control. We got to keep showing up every single week and just playing with relentless effort and physical brutality. And we got to keep loving each other. You know what I'm saying? And there is no better fan base that I've ever been around than the Ram Nation. And hey, keep showing up, keep supporting this football team. It's exciting. And we're excited about playing in Atlanta next week. We got all kinds of alums there. Hey, show up early, stay late, and be loud. Hey, come watch a team that's really going to play with their heart on their sleeve every single play.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, Lee is there to support y'all.
Yeah, we hey, I love that relentless effort and physical brutality. I mean, that is beautiful. Well said. The best defense in the country. We'll put you guys up there against anybody, and we love to see defense in this era of offense. It's good to see some defense out there. Good to see defense.
Yep.
That's what wins championships. That's what they always say, right? At the end of the day.
Hey, that's right. Defense wins championships, brother. Defense wins championships. So.
Yes, sir. Coach, thank you for your time today. Good luck the rest of the season, and hopefully we get a chance to talk to you in the next few weeks after a championship.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, guys, anytime. I really appreciate it.
All right. Again, Coach Gabe Giardina. We'll be back right after these words. You're watching a BCSN Sports Wrap.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon. So now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. You can try using the Buick's massaging seat. Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
Pick something we all like. Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Thank you guys.
SportsWrap, Brian Fulford and AD Drew here. And joining us, our good friend of the program, Kris Ferguson of D2Football.com, giving the under D1 level all kinds of love in the first hour of the show. That's where the excitement is. I mean, we got another week or two before it gets really heated in the D1 level. But the D2, there's only 2 weeks left of the season, Kris. And then, you know what? It's playoff time. We got conference championships and playoffs. It almost doesn't seem real that we're on week number 8 or finished with week number 8, does it?
No, it doesn't. I tell you, though, it's been an incredible year. There's been so many things done around the conferences. SIAC, I was listening to the interview with Coach Gabe and just, across the board, it's been an incredible comeback year for football. So, yeah, it's a lot going on, and it's been very enjoyable.
How about this? Albany State over in SIC highly look. They're the number one scoring defense, averaging 6 a game, only giving up 6 a game. As Coach corrected me, they really have the defense really has 5 shutouts, even though 4 is in the official books. But they gave up somebody gave up a punt return, I think it was. Coach said so. The defense is like that doesn't count. A pick 6, yeah. So that doesn't count. The defense is like that doesn't count on us. So however you want to debate it, they've either got 4 or maybe 5 shutouts in 8 games. The number one team, Valdosta State, they played better than anybody in the country, but it's 2 CIAA schools, Kris, that have total defensive rankings higher than Albany State. Fayetteville State, number 2 in the nation in total defense. Bowie State coming in at number 4. What's your take on that when you saw those numbers?
Well, Bowie State's defense is something I've been talking about all year, and it didn't really matter who they've lined up against this year. They've been able to slow down and shut down offenses. A good example would be University of New Haven, who's out of the Northeast 10. So New Haven, for those who do not know, are tied for first in their conference in the Northeast 10. They were the favorites to win the conference. And really, so New Haven scored 12 points, but it's really more like 6 because the other touchdown happened on the last play of the game where it really didn't matter at that point. And in that particular game, Bowie State scored 2 touchdowns on defense. And a stat line that many people may not realize, but Bowie State actually leads the country in on defensive scoring. So I mean, it's like every game almost, if not every game, they're getting turnovers. They're liable to score on defense as well as offense. I mean, you really can't ask much more out of a defense. So Fayetteville State's a little bit more interesting. They have a really strong defense as well. The grade of competition is a little bit lower. So that's a little bit more of a concern. I think we kind of saw how they played against Wingate. I was hoping that they'd have a little bit stronger defensive effort there. But, as they got into conference play, you kind of saw the same thing. A lot of interceptions, a lot of the defensive line has been ravaging offenses all year long. And so certainly a lot of praise to go on that defense. I just think that at the same time, you have to look at the grade of competition. It is a little bit lower for them, and for them to be able to still pull off what they are doing is still pretty remarkable.
Yeah, the Fayetteville State thing is something that I kind of brought up the other day. It's one of the best teams that we're really not talking about, and part of that is twofold. I think part of it is they're in the CIAA South, and then they've lost the last opportunities that they've had when they played Bowie the last 2 years. So it looks like those two worlds are going to collide again. Bowie versus Fayetteville 3. I mean, I don't think, even though it's not official yet, I don't think there's anything in either team's way to prevent that from happening. Am I correct in that? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, the way that the conference is set up, it goes on total conference record, right? So you got they got through Shaw, and so Shaw has 1 loss in the Southern Division, and they Winston State is undefeated in the South Division, but they lost 2 games in crossover play. So when you look at the division games and you add in the crossovers, you would need Fayetteville State to lose their last 2 games to not make it to the championship game. I just don't see that happening. I mean, Livingstone's defense is a legit defense. I don't think we give defenses a lot of love, but Livingstone's defense is really good. The problem is they don't have any offense. I mean, they got shut out this past weekend, yesterday against Winston State. And they've just shown to not have enough to keep up. And you saw that with Fayetteville State yesterday, right? They were playing St. Aug, a winless team. They actually went down early in the game, but St. Aug didn't have enough offense to keep up, and neither does Livingstone. So, that's the last hurdle. If they, Winston State game at the end of the year really isn't going to matter. From a championship entry standpoint, it's the Livingstone game this coming up weekend, and I just don't see Livingstone having enough to drop an L in the column for Fayetteville State. So
But before I give it over to Drew, since you brought up Livingstone, in terms of total defense, there are 6 HBCUs ahead of Valdosta State, who is highly regarded as probably one of the best teams in Division II. Fayetteville State, Bowie, Albany State, Savannah State, Shaw, and Livingstone. The problem is, as you just pointed out, only Fayetteville State has an offense in the top 50, while Valdosta State is the number 1 offensive team in the country. So it's like, hey, hey, great defense, but you have the offense to match it. So it's like, Drew,
Right.
what do you got?
I'm gonna stick with the playoff thing since that's kind of been my theme all day long, Kris. You know the remaining games, not only for Bowie State, and we can't discuss Albany State, even though we know you're the CIAA expert. Where do you think these two teams will wind up in the final rankings as some of the GSC teams and some of the why am I drawing a blank for the other conference that
The Gulf
they're
South
matched up?
and the South
Yeah,
Atlantic.
go South Atlantic. Yeah, or we'll wind up. They still have a couple important games to each other where teams that are ahead of them right now could possibly lose because they're playing ranked teams. So where will Bowie State wind up? Where could possibly Albany State wind up in the final rankings? And will either one of them get a ranking high enough to be able to host the first round?
So the Division II playoffs, there are 7 teams that qualify to get in per region, and there's 4 regions. And both the SIAC and the CIAA play in Super Region 2, which includes those 2 conferences, the Gulf South and the South Atlantic Conference. And so you've got some teams in there that are kind of bunched up together that are going to have to play each other, that are 1-loss teams right now or don't have any losses. The one that looms, I think, is going to be Valdosta State and West Florida, who play in Week 11, which is really the championship week for the CIAA. But that's a pretty big game. I think 2 losses puts West Florida, on the bubble, certainly on the road to travel somewhere. But they're going to be still very, very dangerous as a 6 or 7 seed. If it goes to that point, I think that the Gulf South is strong enough that they're going to get at least 3 teams in. So Bowie State, right? So Bowie State has 1 loss, right? But that 1 loss was to a Division I team. Doesn't count for the playoffs, for Division II playoffs. So technically, they're undefeated in Division II, and it's very likely they're going to host a playoff game. If they win out, they go 10-0 in Division II play, they're going to host a playoff game, probably as a 2 or 3 seed, is what I would think. Because they have
the 2 seed means they would get a second round game potentially.
Well, a 2 seed means if you win, then you would be hosting at least the first 2 rounds if you win the first round. Yep. So, which is unlike what happened to them, before, because they won the first round game at home when they played in 2018, but then they had to go on the road to play Valdosta. A 2 seed basically is going to mean that you win the first round, you get to host again for the second round, which would be awesome if that were to be the case. Albany is a little different because that 1 loss, you got a bunch of 1-loss teams. And, like I mentioned, I think you've still got a West Florida that may be ahead of them based on strength of schedule. You've got West Georgia is another one that's going to be right there with them, probably ahead of them because of strength of schedule. So that might put them more like 5th right now. And West Florida and Valdosta have to play, which means there are a couple of scenarios to think about here. If Bowie State wins out, Albany State wins out, and Valdosta and West Florida play, and West Florida loses, then I think that's going to move Albany up to potentially host a playoff game, I think. If Valdosta loses, then there's this question of, does Bowie State have the strength of schedule to actually get the number 1 seed? which means that they would host throughout the first 3 rounds should they get that far. And that's not unprecedented territory for the CIAA to have a 1 seed. If I remember correctly, North Carolina Central back in 2006 had a 1 seed. Winston State had got a 1 seed in 2012. So it will be an incredible feat for that to happen. But that one loss for Albany is going to be a real question as to where they land, because the committee is going to look at head to head. So they're not going to finish ahead of Valdosta if they have one loss as well. So I think that they could be in the 5, 6, 7 category. They may be a little higher. It's kind of hard to peg it, but the knock is always going to be strength of schedule, and it does help that Albany does have some wins against some of the Gulf South teams this year. Although they're the lower end, but still, anything helps.
So, despite that, Albany has held Valdosta to half of their regular output compared to everybody else. Do you think the committee is going to look at that favorably? Valdosta gave up scored 21 against Albany. They've scored 41 or more against everyone else.
I think it's got to count for something. I mean, they say that the margin of victory doesn't count in the actual overall metrics, but I mean, when you have a committee of folks, there's always a human factor, right? And that human factor is going to look at the eye test. They didn't let anyone else score, so more than 21 for Valdosta, right? 21. They only got 21 against Albany State, and everybody else has been scoring a lot more. Because I could almost assure you, West Florida and Valdosta is going to be West Florida is going to give up more than 21 points. They've been doing it all season. They're not built to play defense. They're built to outscore you. Yes, the eye test is certainly going to be a really good question mark, really good a thing for them in the end. So I really hope that they do get to host a playoff game. I mean, as a conference champion and as a team that only has one loss, should they make it all the way to the end, that they would be rewarded with one. And I certainly think that it's justified.
The fluctuations between these scenarios are mind numbing. And what worries, well, because as I'm looking at, again, like I said, the Massey ratings are off because they've got an incorrect score. I'm looking at the Versus Sports Simulator on computerratings.com, where they have Albany ranked 9th. Of course, Valdosta's 1, West Florida's 3, West Georgia is 5, Albany's 9th. Bowie is 24th. So it's like, wow, Bowie's 24th. So now that's the ratings, but again, I think they're being penalized because of their schedule. It looks like their schedule has a lower schedule rating than Albany. So what worries me now, let's give credit to Fayetteville State, because Fayetteville State could be playing that role where they only have one loss, and we shouldn't say it's inconceivable that Fayetteville State can beat Bowie. I don't know how likely or unlikely it is, but what's really going to be interesting is what happens on the other side of the SIAC, because whoever Albany has to, that thing is still undecided. You've got
the best in the West.
Yeah, well, it looks like the thing that helps Miles is that even though everybody has 4 teams with 2 losses, but they are 3-0 in that little pod. So obviously, I was just looking at it. It said 3-0.
Yeah, 3-0. You're correct.
Yeah, 3-0. So that's it's kind of interesting to see how that shakes out. I want to bring it back to the games last week, because I want you to give some credit or talk about the biggest win I thought of the weekend. Might have been Elizabeth City with the win over Shawan on a night when Bryce Witt throws 474 and 4 touchdowns. Shawan rarely loses those kind of games, but somehow the Vikings get their third win, if I'm not mistaken, right? Third win of the season. They're like 3-2 in the North. I mean, that's like big time for ECSU, given where they were a couple years ago. Talk a little bit about that game, Kris.
Can we talk about last week too? Because I mean, Elizabeth City is the same team that lost to Lincoln, right? I mean, it's like they're so
Yes.
hard to figure out. Oh my gosh. And we like on the D2 football site, we have a lot of players or a lot of posters who pick games every week along with me. Everybody picked Lincoln. I mean, everybody picked Elizabeth City except for one person. And that one person, I feel like took a shot in the dark and actually was right. I mean, so, going into this game, you're thinking that, okay, we know that Chowan can score, defense has been improved. But I tell you, and it's interesting because in that game, like Chowan, who's notorious for penalties, managed to have these 3rd and 20s and 3rd and 15s, and would convert them. So it's because they just had that long pass game. I wrote about this for HBCU game day, and I as I went through and looked at everything, Chowan had over 500 yards of total offense, and had more than double the passing yards of Elizabeth City, and still managed to lose this game. And this game really came down to really one possession. There was one possession in early in the fourth quarter where Chowan was right there knocking on the doorstep, and they really didn't run the ball well in this game, and they were inside the 5. They couldn't punch it in. They could get a first down and not score, and they couldn't do it. I mean, that was the difference maker in this game. All the other stats, penalties were about the same, time possession not that much different. But the way that Elizabeth City took advantage of, a special teams breakdown, I mean, they scored that way. And there were just some spectacular plays by the wide receivers. I mean, they have 3 really good wide receivers. And even with the quarterback going down, Kevin Caldwell, DeAubrey Smith coming in, who is a different style of passer. He actually does run the ball too, whereas Caldwell does not. So that added dimension was something that we saw with Chowan earlier struggle with when they played Tusculum early this year, and he kind of did the same thing to him. So in the end, I mean, you just had that was a Elizabeth City team that certainly on paper doesn't look like they could match up with, but I tell you, that bunch of guys have a lot of heart, and they've got a lot of potential. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens going forward. But you got to really tip your hat to what the coaching staff has been able to do, what they've been able to bring in, because a lot of those guys are guys that they recruited, and then you've got some freshmen in the mix that especially on defense, offensive line and wide receiver that are really doing really well this year. So yeah, I've had some chats with some folks that have asked me when are you going to talk about Chowan the Pretenders? Well, here you go. Chowan were the Pretenders. They fooled us. I think very highly of the coaching staff there. I really like enjoying watching them, but they've got us three weeks in a row now.
Yeah, 3 weeks in a row. So, props to Elizabeth City. Just looking at what they forced on those downs in that third and fourth quarter, forced 2 punts and 2 turnovers on downs, basically stopping them on fourth down, as you said, at the 2-yard line, and then around midfield late in the fourth quarter, and they outscored them 14-0 down the stretch, and that's a big win. And I know now the question is, can Elizabeth City turn it around? Now they host Virginia Union, and then they travel up to Bowie. So, but I think for all intents and purposes, I mean, there's a chance where Elizabeth City could technically finish second in the North. I think that would be a big win for them if they finish. I mean, heck, just finishing third, I think, would be a big win, given where they've been over the last few years. That'd be a big win.
They
And
won
then
more games this year than they have for the last 3 years.
yes. Shaw is another team, Chris. You don't have to lamb me. You don't have to talk long about Shaw, but I just going back to think 2 losses by 5 points, 3-2. And that's where Shaw's season is. Shaw may finish like 8-2, but they'll have like those 2 losses. And that's gotta be tough. Let me get you out of here on this. Game of the week this upcoming week. I mean, is there anything up ahead? Shaw plays Winston-Salem. I mean, is that's probably your game of the week, I would imagine, right?
Well, I think you got two. In the north, you got Virginia State and Chowan. And I think that's an important game because it'll be good to see kind of what Virginia State brings to the table. That was another team that was struggling early this year and has seemed to have found a groove even in that loss to Bowie State. I mean, their offense has gotten a lot better since Chauncey Caldwell has taken the reins at quarterback, the North Carolina Central transfer. So, it'll be really interesting to see how high scoring of a game that is, or at least how much offense is put on the board, because those are two teams that certainly know how to do it. In the South, yes, I think that, Winston State really has 2 rivalry games every year in football. Fayetteville State to end this season and Shaw right before it. And, 2019, Shaw went to Winston State and blanked them. This season so far, Winston State had a really hard time on offense. They changed offensive coordinators. And now you've got the defense also stepping up and pitching 2 shutouts, one in a row. So I don't think that Shaw's going to get shut out. I still think that Shaw's probably favored in this game, and they're also the home team. But at the same time, Winston State winning, if they win this game and they win and they have a competitive showing against Fayetteville State, I think there are going to be some real questions being asked. What do you do with Coach Massey at the end of the season? And also, Shaw, if they sweep all their games and they win their last 2 games, then every year since Coach Jones has been there, they've improved their record. So they can end up 7-3. I mean, that's incredible from where they have been as well when they hit that bottom, and they went, I think, like 1-9 to turn around and each year improve their win total. So there's a lot of pride on the table in the South for both of those teams. And they both need to win just to see if Fayetteville State's going to somehow slip up. So, yeah, I mean, the same in the North, but I mean, does anybody think that Bowie State's going to slip up to Lincoln? I don't think so. Anything is possible, but I don't see it happening. So, yeah, I think you really have the middle of the divisions that are the games of the week, just because the top teams are playing schools that, probably they're going to not have but so much difficulty getting over in the first half. So.
All right, yeah, I wouldn't put Drew's money on that bet that Bowie loses to Lincoln. Chris, let the people know.
Hey, Drew, I did want to mention, just for Gulf South for the playoffs, I pulled up the schedule. So you've got some interesting teams, interesting games, even this upcoming weekend. West Georgia and Valdosta State have to play, and then Valdosta and West Florida play the last week of the season. So somebody's going to end up with 2 losses, and then West Florida and West Alabama have to play as well. And West Alabama has been ranked this year too. So somebody's going to knock somebody out in the Gulf South. And I think because of that, that's where I see the scenario where Albany could host a playoff game in the first round.
All right.
Could you imagine Albany and Bowie hosting?
Yes, I can imagine that. Absolutely. It is a distinct possibility. If they both went out, I could see that happening. Hmm.
Well, look, as much as we're talking about them, I know there are some schools on the other side that are like, "Hey, we hear all this talk about Bowie and Albany, and they can be playing the spoilers." And so we'll see what happens. Kris, let the people. You got a show that you're doing a little later tonight. Where can we catch that show?
So as part of the cadre of folks who write for Division2Football.com, we do a show across the entire landscape, and we will be talking about regional rankings tonight. That show starts at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time, and you can find that on the if you go to YouTube and search D2Football.com, we host it there. We also host it on Facebook. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, at Do2KFerg is where I do my writing. And I also do some writing this year for HBCU Game Day. And those guys do some wonderful things as well. So, somewhere else that you can get your fix of HBCU football. So, all of those things are ways in which you can catch me. It's been a very busy year, that's for sure. And also, regional rankings come out tomorrow. The first
I was
round,
going to
the
ask you
first
that
set of
question.
regional rankings. Yeah, first set of regional rankings come out tomorrow. So there'll be a lot of discussion about that. There's going to be a lot of discussion in the next week or so about who might be conference player of the year as well. So trust me, I have my pencil right here. I will be putting pencil to paper. There will be a lot to write about, talk about as the season wraps up.
All right. Well, we'll tune in. So when our show ends, we'll be flipping over and go catch Kris on D2Football.com. Especially, like I said, the D2 level. I mean, there's some drama. I mean, look at the standings. So I mean, there's some drama. So we'll see what it looks like for our HBCUs over on that level. Kris, I always appreciate your time, man. Thank you. And you guys have a good show tonight. All right.
All right, appreciate it, and look forward to next time we can all get together.
Yes, sir.
Right.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be back right after these words on the BCSN SportsWrap.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
I'm returning to Clinton, Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton, Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. Go get 'em! It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm. Hello, cream bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together we can be the change.
Welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Brian Fulford, AD Drew here, and we want to appreciate Kris Ferguson and Coach Gabe Giardina from Albany State for joining us in the last hour. Coming up a little bit later, we'll talk to Joe Clay of the 1876 Sports and Culture Podcast about Prairie View A&M. That's his show. That podcast covers Prairie View A&M, and so they are our number one team. Drew, our number one team kind of they served notice over this past weekend. A lot of people had questions about Prairie View being ranked number one, and they looked the part from start to finish, I would say.
Yeah, they did. As you're watching this game, very competitive first half at homecoming for Southern, and I believe it was a 7-point game early in the third quarter before Prairie View went on I believe it was a 31 unanswered points in the third quarter after
I think
Southern scored to make it.
Yeah,
it was
27. I got 27. 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals.
Okay, before Southern added a garbage time touchdown on homecoming to keep the fans somewhat happy, but more homegoings than homecomings.
Yeah, for sure. Southern was one of 5 schools. I don't know if you heard at the beginning, I mentioned the homecoming tally for this past weekend. It was 5-5. 5 winners, 5 losers. That's the most losses in the homecoming season since 2 weeks ago, when it was 7-5.
I thought you was gonna say since like 2016 or something. He's like, no, since 16 days ago.
Yeah, exactly. 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Hey, on I was gonna say on Dr. Cavill's show this morning, where I was a special co-host with him. We came up with a brand new hashtag, and we think it ought to be used for the remainder of the homecoming season.
Okay.
And it is hashtag protect your homecoming.
Okay. I like that. So that notice should be sent out right now. Tennessee State, FAMU, Clark Atlanta, Johnson C. Smith, North Carolina A&T, hashtag protect your homecoming. Somebody's going to lose in their homecoming game. I think A&T has the toughest game, if I'm not mistaken. Let me do it.
Obama has to be the toughest game of homecoming opponents. Aggie Nation needs to be protect our homecoming, protect your homecoming, protect something this week. And you know what my next line is about this Monmouth game, Brian.
What?
Leave the band at home.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Greatest homecoming on earth. All right.
I hope it's not the greatest homegoing on earth.
Yeah, well, look, Clark hosts Benedict. So that'll be interesting. And then Johnson C. Smith plays St. Aug. So, that'll be an interesting contest there for those games. Tennessee State plays, I'm just trying to go off the top of my head. I don't know. FAMU has Grambling. That's a dangerous game for the Rattlers, especially given the way they played this past weekend. We can mention that for a second. Our number 4 ranked team, Florida A&M, this was almost that as they like to say, a tale of 2 games. You had FAMU that was leading 17-0 at one point in the third quarter. And then, actually it was a 10-0 halftime lead. FAMU scored in the third quarter, 17-0. And then all of a sudden, after, Valley scored, and then a fumble return for a touchdown. And before you knew it, it was 17-14. FAMU did manage to score on the ensuing drive, but then Valley came right back down the field on 2 next drives and even took a 28-24 lead
Which is
before
when
the
I got
final
a
drive.
text from someone, who a Valley person, sent me a text like, look at the score now. Because when I was with them earlier, and we were at the Tuskegee game together, and it was 17-0. By the time I left the Tuskegee game and got to a homecoming alumni event, hey, we down.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Let's see. Jackson State trailed 9-0 before they woke up and ran off a 42-3 run over Bethune. But should be noted, Bethune's defense with 7 sacks, 13 tackles for loss in that contest, in front of a crowd of 26,428, which I
if Jackson
believe.
State, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Talk about the crowd first, because we need to talk about some crowds.
Well, I was going to say I was looking for Southern's numbers because I know Southern had homecoming, so I'll look up Southern's numbers. But that might be the only crowd that might have done better. But anyway, something's going to be said about the 26,000. But it was still, unless they added some seats at Southern, I don't think Southern passed 26,000. So it was either the number 1 or number 2 attendance game on the HBCU circuit. But, I'm sure Coach Prime will have something to say about it.
What I was getting ready to say, though, is if there's one glaring weakness with Jackson State, it is their run game. And in order for Jackson State to win the SWAC matchup potentially against a Prairie View, and ultimately win the Celebration Bowl, they are going to have to get the run game together, at least get it to respectable. We don't expect it to be great, but we need to at least get it to respectable, Jackson State, if you are going to be the representative coming out of the SWAC and into the Celebration Bowl.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be. It needs to be respectable. It doesn't have to be great. I just think it needs to be. I think because of the fact that they do pass the ball so well, and that's so much of what they do is short yardage passing anyway. They will throw a quick receiver screen, or they'll throw a quick 3-step drop, and anything within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. And then that'll become a run after the catch opportunity for any number of guys. But I think their bigger problem, though, Drew, you mentioned it's the offensive line. If they're giving up 7 sacks, 13 tackles for loss, to me, that's an offensive line issue. And, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at what FAMU did against Jackson State, but it'll be, I think, Bethune with a comparable front. It'll be interesting to see what happens a little bit later when they play. I don't know if Southern is the squad to give them any troubles up front. It might be. I would say Alcorn might be a little tougher up front than Southern, in my opinion. Yeah.
Looking at those attendance numbers, Brian.
Go ahead. Attendance numbers.
Prairie View Southern, 24,580.
Okay, that's good. Respectable.
And the Jackson State, I just lost my
that's
spot.
26,428. I had the Jackson one, 26,428.
Right. So 24 versus 26.
Yeah, and I watched a little bit of the Alcorn State win over Texas Southern. That was a 44-27 game. Alcorn controlled the clock 41 minutes and 13 seconds to 18:47. But Texas Southern actually outgained Alcorn by about 25 yards. The problem in this game, Texas Southern had 3 turnovers, 3 fumbles. Alcorn made no mistakes turnover. I mean, so there's your ball game. It's like if you turn the ball over 3 times, I mean, you just put yourselves in a bad situation. So that was a home game for Texas Southern, and Alcorn ended up getting the win there. And we got to mention, Drew, our number 5 team, Norfolk State, going to Howard's homecoming with a 45-31 win. Jawan Carter I feel like Jawan Carter is breaking a school record almost every week or every other week. He broke another one for consecutive completions on the way to a 332-yard passing day. I don't think he had any touchdowns passing, though. The running back, Cameron Brent, had a couple of runs. Norfolk State has won 5 games in a row. That's the longest winning streak since 2011 for Norfolk State. Norfolk State's
homecoming
defense
attendance 10,437.
I think that's capacity for Green Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. Norfolk State defense had a fumble return for a touchdown and a block punt touchdown. So there's your difference maker. There were 38 points scored by both teams in the fourth quarter. Let's take a break, Drew, because coming up after the break, we got Joe Clay coming in to talk to us about Prairie View and then his observations of the SWAC. So we want to hear from him after these words. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap with Brian and AD. We'll be back in just a moment.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High-quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon, so now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat. Ooh, yeah, that's nice.
Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless. It's something we all like.
Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
I'm attorney Clinton Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. Go get 'em! It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm. Hello, cream bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
All right, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Brian Fulford and AD Drew here, and joining us from the 1876 Sports and Culture Podcast, Joe Clay. Joe, welcome to the SportsWrap.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, man. We had a chance to. It's probably our first time actually getting a chance to. Well, no, I think we did one other show together, but it's good to have you on. And
I
I
think we
can
were
think
on
of
Doc's show
yeah,
when we
yeah.
talked.
I can think of no better time than it is right now, given the notices that the BCSN #1 team is serving. Uh, so, man, what's it like right now in Panther Nation with the success of the team right now?
Man, after last night's victory at Mumford Stadium in Scotlandville for Southern's homecoming, PV family is riding on an all-time high. I can't even explain it to you.
Yeah, we made mention of the fact that Southern was one of 5 schools to lose on homecoming, which is the second time this season that 5 schools have lost their homecoming game. But what I was surprised, and it kind of went true to script. Listening to Carlos Brown's show on Saturday, he mentioned that that it was going to come down to who ran the best. And Southern, it was well documented what they did the week before, but Prairie View ran 224 on 37 attempts. Southern only 130. Talk a little bit about that run defense and just how good is this Prairie View defense right now?
Our front seven has been playing lights out all year. We have several upperclassmen on that defensive line and in the linebacking core, mixed in with some young guys. It's a very good mix of experienced guys and some youthful energy on the front seven. They've been extremely stingy all season long. They had a little setback in Bethune-Cookman, so they were dead set to have a business as usual game against Southern and break this streak of losses that we've had. We have several other guys on the front seven who have not beat Southern. So they were not going to walk out of that stadium without a victory. They want it. They want it bad, and they wanted it more than Southern wanted it. So our run defense held them to 130 yards rushing. I think previously Southern had been averaging over 300 yards rushing per game. So we are extremely confident in our run and not only our run defense, but our defense as a whole. Those guys are ready. They're on one, man. They're on fire.
What was the streak you mentioned? I mean, I know the SWAC is full of these streaks where, one team hasn't beaten somebody in several years and another team, has. What was the streak of losses, I guess?
Southern has beaten us for 3 straight years. We haven't. No, actually, we have not beat Southern since 2015, I believe. So they've beaten us 3 straight times on our campus. They gave us our first L in our brand new stadium for our homecoming game a few years ago. So they earned the L that we gave them last night. Yeah.
Drew, you got it.
All right, Joe. Prairie View going into its second bye in the month of October.
Yeah.
Does a second bye this close together, especially this late in the season, does it scare you as a potential momentum breaker, or do you see this as a potential advantage to get healthy for that final stretch run so that you guys could go ahead and wrap up the SWAC West?
And we can see that 2 different ways because, as you mentioned, we've already had a bye. The bye was prior to going to Daytona Beach to face Bethune-Cookman, and we seemed like we were a little rusty defensively, particularly. But rest is always good. We've played several games. We have a couple guys that have been banged up a little bit, so I think it's important to let those guys heal up. We were missing one of our linebackers last night, I know for sure. So I think after that semi-letdown game against Bethune-Cookman, the team has learned from that bye week, and they will be ready to go, which our next game will be on campus for homecoming against Alabama State. I cannot see those guys, after beating Grambling and Southern, having a letdown for homecoming against Alabama State. I don't see it. So I'm confident that they're going to rest up, heal up, be prepared mentally and physically to dominate for homecoming.
All right, now let me ask you this, Joe. Everybody who sees the BCSN ranking, notice I say the word ranking, not poll. This is not eye test. This is not human element, anything like that. Emails us, calls us, texts us, and tells us how crazy we are to have Prairie View ahead of Jackson State. And let's be real, Jackson State is a sexy pick. No doubt,
That's
Jackson
it.
State is a sexy pick, and
That's it.
even Prairie View people can admit Jackson State is the sexy pick. Our argument has always come back to it's the numbers. Jackson State played a Division II, whereas Prairie View has not played a Division II opponent. So tell these people out here why Prairie View is the right choice by the numbers as the BCSN number 1 ranked team.
So first of all, those folks don't know no better, so forgive them. They know not what they do. They don't understand. I'm sure they're not familiar with Prairie View A&M University. We're a hidden gem down here in Texas. We understand that. So from a football perspective, we've been off the map. I will admit it. There's no reason why non-Prairie View folks or fans who do not follow the SWAC, there's no reason why they should believe that we deserve that high of a ranking, because we haven't necessarily performed over the last few years. We have always had the talent. So let me let the folks know we have the talent. We have amongst the best talent of all the SWAC. There's no doubt about it, particularly from a skill position. We've spent the last couple of years beefing up on the offense and defensive line. That's been a focus of recruiting. So we've got several 300-pounders on the offensive line. We've got studs on the defensive line. So we have the talent. So don't be surprised about the talent when you take the time to watch us. What has happened, what has really flipped the coin for us is the mental errors that we've made in past years that have kept us out of the SWAC championship game are no longer present. We have not seen the mental errors that have held us back over the last few years. And it's because of our veteran team, particularly our veteran defensive leadership. They have refused to allow mental errors derail what they are coming for. And so we see it. All of PV fam who have been longtime fans of the program have witnessed that, man, we are not seeing those mental errors. This is a different team. This team is on one. They're focused. They want this. So, yes, Jackson State is the sexy pick, but it's not for the right reasons. Their offense is not prolific. Yeah, Shadur Sanders can throw the ball. They've got one receiver who can really catch it, but we're not afraid of Jackson State. And I was at Jackson State's homecoming last weekend and watched them play Alabama State. Alabama State's defense held solid for the first half of that game. Jackson State couldn't do much with their defense. Now, they wore them down in the second half and started to put up points, but that game was a lot closer than what the end score indicates. So, yeah, Jackson State beat FAMU, who did not have a quarterback. I believe if FAMU had a quarterback situation straight, FAMU would have got that W, in my opinion. So, hey, we don't need the naysayers to be on our team. Y'all can. There's always room in a bandwagon once we get that W in the SWAC championship game. It's all good. We have room on the bandwagon. Trust us. So we've got the coaching. We've got the talent. We're just putting it all together now, man. And it's a wonderful time to be a Prairie View Panther.
I said this back in the spring, and I'm going to turn it over to Brian after this. When we gave our early bold predictions, I said, watch out for Prairie View. And you just mentioned quarterback. I said Prairie View was a quarterback away from competing in the West. That quarterback has come to pass, pun intended, literally, with that in Juwan Pass. Tell the impact Juwan Pass has had on that offense and helping that offense take that final step, because you know as well as I do, that was one of the final pieces of the puzzle that Prairie View needed in order to compete.
Well, let's not sell Jalen Morton short now, who was our quarterback for the past 3 years. He has NFL level talent, which is the reason why he was
But he's
on
gone.
NFL rosters during the preseason. Again, it was just mental errors that held us back on previous
I
teams.
thought it was the
Juwan
defense.
Pat.
I thought, yeah, those teams with Morton and even Tucker, it was like I felt like you guys were missing that defensive attitude, like you see now.
Yeah, then that's true, but there were mental errors defensively as well as special teams. Special teams killed us. We went into Sam Houston State a couple years ago, and that game was ours, but we gave it away on uh, special teams miscues. So, but going back to Juwan Pass, his deep ball accuracy over the top has put this offense on another level, and the commitment of Coach Dooley to the run game has made this offense unstoppable. So we're hammering them with the run. We're hitting them hard with a 2-3 back running back by committee running style, which was what we did last night. And then Juwan Pass is dropping dimes over the top with our speedy receivers. So yeah, he's opened it up. Also, he can tuck the ball and run. He's a big dude, man. What, 6'4", 6'5", 235, 240 pounds. So when he decides to run the ball, oh yeah, he's a big guy, man. I've stood up next to him and I'm looking straight up at him. So when he decides to run the ball, DBs just got to put the shoulder down and hope for the best. So yeah, Juwan Pass. For those who don't know, he was a former 4-star quarterback. He was looked at being the follow-up to Lamar Jackson at Louisville. Things didn't happen because of injuries or whatnot, so that's how he ended up going into the transfer portal, and Coach Dooley grabbed him out of that portal. He was more than happy to come to the SWAC to Prairie View and have an opportunity to end his career on a high note, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's at 60% completion right now. We could have put up over 50 points on them last night if we really wanted to be honest with you. He had a very conservative passing game. If Coach Dooley wanted to open it up on him, we could have. And I was all for it because we owe Southern some points, baby. We do. So yeah, the quarterback play has helped us go to the next level.
Who came up with this thing with the eviction notice, which I first saw at the State Fair Classic against Grambling, and it looks like the notices were brought out at Southern. Where'd that idea start?
Yes, sir. Actually, we just had an interview with one of our players, and Trashad Smith, our middle linebacker. He's known as the landlord. That's kind of his nickname. So he came up with the eviction notice, and he brought it out unbeknownst to the team at the Cotton Bowl Classic. And so everybody loved it, man. PV fam loved it, and they brought it out again yesterday. They're evicting tenants out of the SWAC, out of the championship game. So be well.
So I look, the next road game is at Alcorn, and that's their last. They've only had 3 home games this year. Alcorn has, so this is their 3rd one, and obviously that rivalry is there. They've won the last 3. I mean, so I mean that'll be interesting to kind of see the notices, if the notices make an appearance on the reservation. That's that'll be, but you got to take care of homecoming. Now, obviously, so there's a bye this week. I got to admit that the whole 2 buys in October, genius. I don't know who did the scheduling, and I hope somebody asks Coach Dooley about it at Monday's press. The Monday coaches thing that they do in the SWAC, because I just kind of wonder about the strategy of it. But when you look at the schedule, it does give you an opportunity to sort of reset for the last push, because you got Alabama State, Alcorn. What's your take, Joe, on having to play Texas A&M sort of in the middle of the finish of your season?
That other agricultural school in Texas.
I hate the money games. We all know that's what it is. I hate the money games first and foremost. I wish we weren't playing it at all. The placement of it is very unfortunate because it'll be at the back end of a tough SWAC schedule. then we'll have one game left, Mississippi Valley, which is playing tough. Mississippi Valley is not a pushover this season for those who have not been paying attention. So they will come to our home and play us on the hill for our last home game after we will have played Texas A&M. So in my mind, the strategy should be, we have to play our starters, but once things get out of hand, I
First
think
quarter.
we have to, I think we have to seriously think about pulling our starters, you know, third quarter at the latest, because we want to be healthy for that following game against Mississippi Valley in a potential SWAC championship game. That's number one. We're getting that check regardless, right? A&M's cutting that check to us regardless. All we have to do is show up. I hate to say it, but hey man, the SWAC championship is number one, right? That's first priority in my mind. So I don't obviously I don't know what Coach Dooley's thought process is going to be about that. Every coach wants to line up and play. Every player wants to line up and play. They looked at Prairie View's schedule when they were recruited, and they saw that we play some big boys in non-conference. So I'm sure they're going to want to play. Hey, Jawan Pass is going to want to play. He's accustomed to playing, Power 5 schools. So I don't know. It's going to be real interesting to see what Coach Dooley does strategically.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, that's an interesting game upcoming because not only you've got the Alcorn State game, which I'm sure will be a television game, should be if it's not.
It's on
That could
ESPN
very
Plus, I
well.
believe.
I mean, that could determine the West. I mean, it really could, the way things are kind of shaping out. And then you got this Texas A&M game, which is it really is a spotlight opportunity for everybody. It's like, okay, regardless, let's say you guys win Alcorn. Well, it's like, hey guys, now you got a chance to really be on probably the SEC network, and really get an opportunity to really showcase your skills. And I can't imagine you want to, you know what I'm saying? It's like you want to keep the positive thing going. So I'm just kind of curious where the fan base. I know it doesn't sound like you're a big fan of it. What is the fan base? Have they started talking about it, or is that too far away to even kind of entertain that thought?
No, the fan base has already thought about it. I know there are plenty of people who are contemplating making a ride down to College Station to attend the game. So again, yeah, we will have come off of a tough Alcorn game, I'm sure. Excuse me, Alcorn, pronounce it correctly. Let's in assuming we win that game, hey, we're thinking about the SWAC championship game, being healthy for that game. The players, every baller wants to go pro, right? Everybody thinks they can go to the league and they want to show themselves well. So again, I'm sure they're going to be most of our team. They're going to want to show up strong against Texas A&M. They're going to want to play. So I would think that Coach Dooley he's gonna see what the game looks like. He's gonna see how it's going, and he's going to make a decision during the course of that game on if he keeps his starters in, if it's a competitive game. I would think if it's a highly competitive game, we're gonna go for the W. But if it gets out of hand, at some point you're gonna have to make a business decision, right? With focus on we need to get ourselves ready and keep ourselves healthy for the SWAC championship game, which is our number one priority. PV fans, PV family, of course, we want to go out there and we want to beat everybody. But those of us who are realistic about the situation and understand what our number one priority is, which is winning the SWAC and then going to Celebration Bowl and collecting that $1 million plus check for winning the Celebration Bowl, that's number one.
Speaking of that game in College Station against that other ag school in the state of Texas, any early word on whether the band has been invited to that game down in College Station?
I mean, it's only literally a 30 to 40-minute drive down the street, right down 290. So I'm more than certain that the band is going to be there. The last time we played them a couple years ago, the band went down there and performed. So, everybody loves a SWAC band. Everybody loves the HBCU band.
They going to get y'all the whole halftime?
They might as well, man, because nobody really wants to watch the Corps cadets or whatever they call marching around. Let's just be honest, that military marching style is very boring. I hate it. So I would imagine that their fan base would be looking forward to watching the Marching Storm do what they do.
Hey, Joe, let me get you out of here on this. Obviously, the East seems to be right now. It's in the control of Jackson State. How do you see the East shaping out? Do you think Jackson State holds on, or is there somebody? If you look at the schedule, if you look at the East, is there an opportunity for FAMU to possibly find their way into that SWAC championship game? What's your take on the East?
Well, I don't see anybody really beating Jackson State. I think FAMU probably had the best chance to do that. So I look for Jackson State to come out of the West. We're already making plans to reserve hotel rooms for Jackson State, and as Prairie View visits Jackson State for the SWAC championship game. I'm reserving my hotel room tonight.
Okay, so the East host, is that how that sets up, or is it the best record?
Best record, best rank, I thought. It's tied.
Yep, best record, and then a tiebreaker is best rank. So right now, Jackson State's ranked higher than Prairie View A&M. So assuming we both go in undefeated, then we will have to visit Jackson State. Jackson State will host the championship game.
Okay. Oh, well, look at that. Starting to make those quiet reservations. See,
we making those reservations, man. We just have to handle our business.
Which one of us is going to referee the battle of the podcast between 1876 Sports and Culture and the pregame show? If it comes down to that, one of us is going to have to referee that podcast segment.
Yeah, we may just have to. That'll be interesting to see how that breaks down. Yeah, we
are already making plans. We're making plans to have a joint show. We will definitely have to get together if that matchup happens. We'll be talking to Neely and Charles Bishop about having a battle of the podcast, as you mentioned. I like that. I like that term.
There you go. Well said, Drew. Joe, let the people know, all the folks who are watching on YouTube and on Facebook, let them know where they can download and how often you guys are putting out new shows, new episodes.
We drop a show every Tuesday morning. It's the 1876 Sports and Culture Podcast. We're here to represent and put on for the HBCU of Texas, Prairie View A&M University. We're here to represent the SWAC and give love to all of the HBCUs. You can find us at Panther_1876 on Instagram and Facebook. We're on all podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google. Again, 1876 Sports and Culture Podcast. We're doing it for the culture.
Yes, sir. Well said. All right, Joe, we appreciate you coming on and talking to us. We'll kind of share the new top 5 in D1. We'll see what kind of pot we can stir with the latest rankings. So that'll be coming up in the next segment. So stay tuned. We'll see. A lot of people might be more fussing coming on, but good to see good things are happening at Prairie View. Exciting, fun team to watch, no doubt. So thank you for coming in and joining us tonight. All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment to wrap up the sports wrap with Brian and AD. Thanks again to Joe Clay. We'll be back right after these words.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Brian and AD here. I want to thank all of our guests who have joined us today. Joe Clay from the 1876 Sports and Culture Podcast. Kris Ferguson, D2Football.com. After our show, you can go find his YouTube show that'll be airing tonight if you want to get some more information on what's going on. Those guys do a great job of covering D2 football. Just go over to YouTube and just search D2Football.com, and their show will be starting up at the top of the hour. And then Coach Gabe Giardina from Albany State for joining us as well. Drew, let's give out some game balls for the top performances. Who you got?
I'm going to start off on the offensive side of the ball, and we'll stick with the under D1. Goes to Jakari Jackson from Langston University. This brother rushed the ball 34 times for 238 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brian, let's do the math. That's a 7.0 yards per carry right there. And to show that he has a little bit of other skills, he caught 2 balls out the backfield for 47 yards. So anytime you get a running back who runs for 2 bills, what's that?
I missed the fact that he had a reception.
2 receptions for
how many yards?
So 42 for 47. So that is, doing the math, that is 285 all-purpose yards out of the backfield. Despite what Larry Harrington did with his 296 yards passing and 4 touchdowns and his 12 rushes for 84 yards, I got to give it to the back.
Yeah, that's solid. That's solid, man. Look, receivers don't get a lot of love. They have not gotten a lot of love this year. There's been a lot of quarterbacks that have gotten a love. I mean, we had a running back win awards last week, but I'm going to shout out Malachi Weidman from Jackson State. 9 receptions, 167 yards, and 4 scores. 7 years ago. Malachi caught those touchdowns from Shedeur Sanders, who had himself a day as well, with 4 touchdown passes and 1 rushing touchdown, 309 total passing yards for Shedeur. But I got to give some props to Malachi Weidman of Jackson State. Big day for him. Who else you got?
On the defensive side of the ball, and if I mispronounce his name, charge it to my head and not my heart, Coimba Jones from Albany State University. Listen to this stat line. In a 30-0 victory over Savannah State, over a ranked Savannah State. 9 tackles, a tackle and a half for loss for 11 yards, and 2.5 sacks. So talk about a defensive stack line right there. Oh, by the way, Brian, did I tell you that he forced a fumble too?
And
so,
also had a pass breakup too. Yeah,
I was getting ready to get down the line to that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And so he was all over the place. He was dropping back in coverage. He was rushing the quarterback. I mean, what more can you ask from out of a player right there, Brian?
That's a good defensive look. There are a lot of guys who did a lot of great things. How about from North Carolina Central? Let me give some props to Noah Rainbow Douglas. Love the last name, by the way. 10 tackles, all solo. 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass breakup for North Carolina Central, who got a 28-17 win over Morgan State. Anybody else you want to shout out?
Since I did an offensive and a defensive, and by the way, for those, these will be my early votes for players of the week from the BCSN, just so everyone knows. Ardez Hussick from Tuskegee with a career-long Tuskegee record 51-yard field goal in the fourth quarter to keep Tuskegee in the game. And I said this yesterday, Brian, if that kick was for 52, it hits the crossbar. For 51, it clears about that much. So, but shout out to that, because that was a pressure kick that Tuskegee needed to stay in the ball game. And Coach Slater called a timeout, and somebody over there talked him into going for the field goal. And usually when that happens, you have things that happen like at Mississippi Valley. But this time it wound up benefiting Tuskegee, as they were able to get it. Unfortunately, they were not able to get the victory, but still, 51 yards is 51 yards in the fourth quarter.
Well, my special teams player will be Florida A&M's Jamari Sherrard. Had 5 punt returns for a total of 154 yards, including a punt return touchdown. But then he also caught 8 passes for 88 yards and 3 scores. So on the day, that is 4 touchdowns and 242 all-purpose yards. I don't know whether to put him in as an offensive player candidate or a special teams player candidate, but somehow I had to find some room to give Jamari Sherrard some love.
Maybe we ought to do just like when they recruited. What position you play? They just recruited me as an athlete.
The human joystick, as his recruiting tape and YouTube video called him when he was in the portal. That's all I remember. And definitely don't sleep on the size. 5'7", 5'8", whatever it is, the kid balls. He balls out. There are a lot of other guys who had some great days, but those are our main players, and we'll kind of release the official BCSN Players of the Week on Monday. So those will come out on Monday. What we will release today, though, we will release the brand new BCSN Top 5, the sometimes controversial BCSN Top 5 rankings. So we're going to start with our under D1 rankings, And our number one team, still number one on top of the pile, on top of the list, is Langston University, 7-0 still. Albany State coming in a close second at 7-1, followed up by Bowie State, also 7-1. A little bit of shuffling as Fayetteville State moves up to number 4 with a record of 6-1. And Savannah State drops from 4 to 5, I believe, is what they dropped, right, Drew? From 4 to 5.
Yes, that would be correct.
And just a little special mention, Shaw, Lane, Fort Valley State, all hovering just outside of the top 5 with records of 5 and 3. So that's how the under D1 rankings go. Let's take a look at the Division I rankings. Not much of a change, but a little bit of a shuffling amongst people. Once again, Prairie View sitting on top of the list at 6-1. Jackson State coming in at number 2. The big mover of the week is Norfolk State. Winners of 5 in a row, moving up to number 3, jumping over Florida A&M and Alcorn. Alcorn holds steady at 4 with 5 and 2. And FAMU, fortunate to get out of Itabena with a win, drops from 3 to 5. So really you had Norfolk State and A&M kind of swapping positions there.
Yeah. Same 5, different order. On both polls, actually.
Right.
Both rankings.
Yeah, just outside of the top 5 was Tennessee State with a record of 4 and 3. And outside of Tennessee State, the only other you got a couple of Alabama schools at even records of 3 and 3, and everyone else is really sitting a game under 500 at like 3 and 4 or something to that effect. So that's the cream of the crop right now in the Division I level. So
that's why we only do top 5.
That's why we only do top 5. So, I'm sure that'll that'll excite some people. I already see the complaining a little bit, or just the recognition. I don't know what you want to call it, from the folks out there on YouTube. Just want to remind everyone on YouTube who's watching, make sure you have subscribed to our YouTube channel, please. We appreciate you. And then give us a thumbs up. It all helps the algorithms. We appreciate you guys coming in and chatting with us. I'm sure we'll be posting these on social media, on Instagram and Twitter, and then that's where the real buzz will happen. So we'll kind of maybe react to a little bit of that coming up. Well, Drew, any final thoughts before we close out the show here?
No, and I debated on whether I was going to touch on this, but I'm going to make this brief, and because of what stuff, we'll just leave it at stuff. Tuskegee's band did not attend homecoming yesterday. Not gonna get into the whats and whys and hows of it right now, but I am going to get into the atmosphere. Yes, I attended homecoming, but for no band, no fish sandwiches, and I said sandwich, not sandwich. No barbecue. Nobody out there trying to sell me a T-shirt. Nobody trying to. It did not feel like homecoming on campus. The fact that I was able to drive straight up to the stadium automatically made me feel like it wasn't homecoming. Because if you're not on campus by 9:30 on homecoming Saturday for a 1:00 game, you are not getting on campus. You're going to walk 2 to 3 miles, it seems like, to get to the stadium. In Tuskegee, only 5 miles as a whole doggone town, it seems like. So just the atmosphere of the campus being closed. Yes, I'm proud of Mother Tuskegee. I'm a proud alum, one of my 2 illustrious universities that I'm proud to have attended. But it just didn't feel right, my brother. It just did not feel right. So I hope whatever went on with the band, administration, whoever it is, I hope they could sit down and get this right, because they do have another game on ESPN this Saturday. And Lord Jesus, I do not want to see another empty stadium. At least the student section needs to be full for another game on ESPN, because that is our biggest marketing tool as a university. One of our biggest marketing tools as a university. When you get airtime on any network, stream on a pod service like this, streaming service, whatever, the visuals sucked. I'll leave it at that.
Well, yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk a little bit about it in the later up, if we get another show in later in this week with some more information. We can kind of share that. But I will encourage you and say you can always come to homecoming at your other university, your other you are
my first university.
Your first university. Florida A&M is celebrating homecoming this week. May not be the greatest homecoming on earth. It's just the greatest homecoming in the universe. That's it. Period. You Aggies can have the earth. We'll take the world. We'll take the universe.
No, we'll take you to the moon and back. How about that, Brian?
Hey,
you have to be a rattler to understand that reference.
It will be, yes, well said. Well said. That's why I say the universe, to the moon and back. Hey, look, it's going to be lit in Tallahassee this week. And FAMU, again, serving notice, Tennessee State, FAMU, A&T, Clark, Johnson C. Smith. What's that hashtag again?
Protect our homecoming.
Protect our homecoming. So teams better come ready to play. Alumni better be ready to come support. Bring your wallets.
Band, come ready to play.
Yeah, bands, be ready to play. It should be a great weekend in Tallahassee. Looking forward to it. I'm sure it'll be a great weekend as well in Greensboro, Atlanta, Nashville, and in Charlotte. So I hope everyone stays safe, enjoys the week, and we will reach out to everybody a little bit later in the week with more of the Sports Wrap, but make sure you stay locked in to the Black College Sports Network throughout the week and stay tuned in with all of our shows. So that's going to do it for tonight. Thanks again to all of our guests, our producer, Roy Evans, and for my man, A.D. Drew. I'm Brian Fulford. Thanks for watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. Peace out.
Holla.
But stay hard.